Welcome back, dear learners. Before the ad break, we introduced you to the financial indicators that I'll be doing with you today. And to begin off, I'm going to start with the solvency ratio. It is a financial indicator that measures the ability of a company to pay off its liabilities using all its assets. So already within this definition, we can see that the formula can also be extracted from this because it has to do with the ability of a company to pay off its liabilities using its assets. There is the formula. That is total assets as to total liabilities. So you should have done already, as I said earlier on, the statement of financial position that will allow you to know how to get total assets as well as your total liabilities. Here is an extract of the statement of financial position, all right? And on this extract, you can see we have our fixed assets, fixed deposit, we have inventory, trade and other receivables, we have cash and cash equivalents, our current liabilities, as well as the long-term loan. So what we want to do in this case is to do some calculations. We want to calculate the solvency ratio. But in order for us to do that, we have to first get our total assets, Now, from that extract of the trial balance, we are focusing on the balance sheet account section. We will now begin to add all our assets. So we start off first with our fixed assets, which is 600,000. That is what you see down here. The next one becomes your fixed deposit, 180,000. You see it over there. Then the next one again, we are now on our current assets in this case. We have inventory, which is 120. We also have trade and other receivables, 215,000. This is the amount down there. Then we have our cash and cash equivalents, which is 53,000. We then add all these assets and we end up with 1,168,000. Now remember the solvency ratio. It is your total assets as to total liabilities. So far we have our total assets over here, which is 1,168,000. I now need to get my total liabilities, Let's see if I can get my total liabilities. When I am calculating my total liabilities, I have to get your non-current liabilities, that is your long-term loan. As you can see here, 160,000. Your long-term loan, that is your non-current liabilities. And then I'll add my current liabilities, which is 150,000. So when I have my 160 and my 150, I add these two together, then I end up with 310,000. So at this point, I now have my total assets as well as my total liabilities. Once I have my total assets and my total liabilities, I then can be able to calculate my solvency ratio. We want to see if the business is solvent, that is it able to use its assets to pay its liabilities, all its assets to pay all its liabilities. That is why you see when we did our assets, we took all our assets, that is our non-current assets as well as our current assets. These were our non-current assets and these were our current assets, and it gave us total. And here we have our non-current liabilities, which is the 160, and the current liabilities. So it is our total assets as to total liabilities. Now, the total assets are 1,168,000. We bring it here. There is 1,168,000. Then I also bring total liabilities, all my liabilities. That is my long-term and my current. Here is the 310. For me to get the answer, you have to remember that we are dealing with a ratio. So the answer has to be S to 1 because it is a ratio. It has to be something S to 1. Now, for me to get that answer, I must divide everything by 310,000. So I'll divide 310,000 by 310,000. That is how I get 1. 310,000 by 310. That is how I get 1. And then I then divide my 1,168,000 by 310,000. And I end up with 3.77 as to 1. So my answer, therefore, for the solvency ratio becomes 3.77 as to 1. Very important. When you are calculating a ratio, your answer has to be as to 1. And for you to get that kind of an answer, you must divide everything by what will be on your right side. In this case, it is our total liabilities amount, which is 310,000. That is how I get this one. And then I do the same here, I get 3.77. Once we have calculated, it is very important that when you do your financial indicators, you must be able to calculate, all right? Remember the 3 C's. We talk about the 3 C's. The first C is we must be able to calculate, and then we must be able to compare, and then we must then be able to comment. We must then be able to comment. When we are commenting, we should split it into 3 as well. When we are commenting, we should mention, number 1, the name of the financial indicator. We should also mention the trend, that is either an increase or a decrease. And very important, we should include figures. So we are going to apply the 3 C's. First, calculate. We have calculated. What do we need to do now? We need to compare, and then we comment. But when we comment, we need the name, the trend, and the figures. Let's go and do that. So as we can see here, in the year 2022, our solvency ratio was 2.9 as to 1, which is this one here, 2.9 as to 1. But if we compare it with the year 2023, we can see that it is now 3.77 as to 1. So we are comparing here, all right? Then if we are to comment, therefore, we will then say the solvency ratio, so this is the name. The solvency ratio has increased. This word is very important. Has increased, has improved. That simply means you are giving me the trend here. You see, in 2022, it is 2.9 as to 1. But in 2023, it is 3.77 as to 1. That shows there is an increase from 2.9 as to 1 in 2022 to 3.77 as to 1 in 2023. These are now your figures. Very, very important, dear learners, that when we do our analysis and interpretation, when you are commenting, you need to remember the name, the trend, as well as the figures. Once you have commented using the name, the trend, and the figures, you can rest and know that you are going to pick a lot of marks. Dear learners, let's go for an ad break, and I'll see you shortly.